Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a Manchego and mushroom quinoa risotto. How amazing does that sound? So you must be thinking, quinoa risotto? Well, yes, we're gonna cook quinoa, but we're gonna cook it the way we would cook a risotto. We're going to slowly add some delicious stock to it and really let it infuse with those incredible flavors. And of course, being that it's quinoa and not rice, we will be adding a touch of cream to give it that creaminess, since we don't have the exact starchiness we would when using rice. But let me tell you, this recipe is spectacular. It is so yummy. I actually modeled it after something that I ate at a restaurant one night, and I thought, wow, this is divine. I have to make this. So I came home and experimented and came up with this amazing recipe that I'm sure you're gonna love. So I'm super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 2 cups of tricolor quinoa, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 8 ounces of baby portobello mushrooms, 1 medium shallot, 6 cloves of garlic, 5 cups of vegetable stock. I use unsalted, a half a cup of white wine, 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, 12 ounces of Manchego cheese, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. You will also need a cutting board and a knife, a ladle, and either a silicone spatula or wooden spoon or whatever you prefer to stir with, some dry measuring cups, some wet measuring cups, some measuring spoons, a bowl, and another bowl with a grater for grating the Manchego cheese. And finally, you will need 2 pots for your stovetop. I am using a medium pot and a large pot. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add your unsalted vegetable stock to your larger pot. So this box comes with 4 cups of vegetable stock. So I'm going to add the entire contents of this box, and then I'm going to add a second box to make a total of 5 cups of vegetable stock. Then just turn your heat on to about a medium setting. We just want to start to heat up that beautiful stock so that it's nice and warm when we're ready to use it. So the next thing you're going to want to do is prepare your vegetables. You are going to peel and mince your garlic cloves. You're going to peel and chop up your shallots, and then you are also going to chop up your mushrooms. And you'll notice that I cut them up in chunks. I don't slice them. I want to see the pieces of mushroom running throughout this quinoa dish. So I like to mince my garlic pretty fine, and then I chop up my shallot, but I keep those mushrooms in nice chunks. So now you're going to want to lower the heat on your stock to a low heat or a low simmer, because you just want to keep it nice and warm for when we're ready for it. And then in the pot in the front, the medium-sized pot, you're going to add your extra virgin olive oil, and then you're going to turn on the heat there to about medium. Then once you have that oil in, you're going to add your tricolor quinoa, and you're going to start stirring it and coating it in this oil. And basically you're just warming it up and getting it lightly toasty, just for about 2 or 3 minutes maximum. Then after continually stirring it for 2 or 3 minutes over this medium heat, you're going to turn the heat off. And then you're just going to remove the quinoa from the pot and place it temporarily into a bowl, because we're going to reuse this same pot and we are going to continue to cook our ingredients in this same pot. But for now, we want to remove the quinoa from it so we can work on some of our other ingredients. And I like to give my pot a quick rinse before continuing on to the next step, because I don't want any of that quinoa sticking onto my pot and then possibly burning while I prepare the next few ingredients. So once I've rinsed off the pot, I bring it back to my stove and I've given my vegetable stock a little stir. And then in the front pot, once again, I'm going to be cooking there. So I'm going to add my butter right into that pot. And then I'm going to turn my heat on to about a medium low, somewhere between low and medium should work. And what we want to do is to allow our butter to melt completely, because we are going to be cooking our shallots and our garlic in this melted butter, and they will develop amazing flavor. So we want to allow this butter to fully melt. So as soon as the butter has completely melted, then you're going to want to add your chopped shallot right into the butter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cook the shallot, but for no more than 2 or 3 minutes. We are not looking to brown the shallot at all. What we're looking to do is to just soften it and have it release its beautiful flavors and infuse that butter. So we're just going to gently cook it and stir it every minute or two, and then it'll be nice and soft and fragrant. And that's really all we need to do. We don't want to brown it at all. And then with the garlic, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add it in, and this we're really just going to cook for about 1 more minute, because we definitely don't want our garlic to burn. We just want the garlic to infuse this beautiful butter that's been flavored with that shallot, and it's just smelling amazing right now in the kitchen. Even if we added nothing else, it is absolutely delicious right now. So what we're going to do is, after about a minute of cooking the garlic, then we are going to add the quinoa that we had set aside right into this amazing fragrant mixture. It really smells so incredible. It's a shame you cannot smell it as I am preparing it, because the smell is spectacular. That nutty quinoa together with the shallots and garlic and butter. Wow, wow, wow. So once you've added all of the quinoa in, what you want to do is just combine all of the ingredients, making sure that the butter is well distributed. And then what we're going to do is measure out our white wine, and we're going to add that right on top, and it's going to just bubble for a second. And then we're just going to give it all a little stir and bring all of the ingredients together. Now, once you've incorporated the white wine, you're going to see very quickly the quinoa starts to absorb all the liquid that's added to it. So now is when we're going to start adding our beautiful vegetable stock that is really going to flavor our quinoa. So what I do is I grab a ladle, and then I just add a ladle or 2 to my quinoa. So there's really no precise exact measurement, so don't worry. You can do 1 or 2 ladles at a time. And then once you get the liquid in, the key is to just continue to stir. Now, we had our heat at medium-low, but you notice that it is bubbling just a little more than I'd like it to, because we do want this quinoa to cook gently and slowly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my heat at this point, and I'm going to bring it down to about a medium simmer if you have it. If not, then just bring it down to low. And then the trick is just to continue to stir. It's going to bubble ever so slightly, and you're just going to continue to stir and see that the liquid is being absorbed. Once you see that the liquid has disappeared, if not completely, almost completely into the quinoa, then you know it's time to add another ladleful or 2. There's really nothing to it. It's just adding the liquid, stirring, keeping it nice and low. And then as soon as you see that liquid evaporate, then you're going to add more liquid and do it again. The whole process should take 30 minutes. 30 minutes of adding stock and stirring slowly to have our quinoa absorb all of the beautiful vegetable stock that is really going to infuse it with flavor. It is remarkable how quickly the liquid gets absorbed by the quinoa, and really all you're doing is stirring and then adding more liquid to enhance the flavor. And you will notice that the quinoa also starts to plump up a bit. It really just starts to thicken up, and that's exactly what we want. So we're just repeating this process over and over until we've consumed all 5 cups of our vegetable stock. So at this point, I'm ready for some more liquid because you can see that there's very little liquid left in the pan. And then that is when you add your next ladleful or 2. There's nothing to it. It's super easy. You just go over, grab another ladleful, add it, maybe add a little bit more, and then you're going to continue the same process of just stirring and having it absorb all the beautiful liquid. But keep in mind, this is a dish that definitely requires your attention. You don't want to let the quinoa sit because you don't want to risk it drying out completely and then of course burning your quinoa, because you do want to be adding more liquid every time you notice that the liquid has been completely absorbed. You do not want to let the quinoa sit in that pot dry. So every time you see that it's all absorbed, that's when you're going to add more, and you're going to stir continuously during this 30-minute process. Another tip I'll give you is that once you reach a point where it's hard to grab a ladleful of your vegetable stock, then just bring over your pot and pour a little bit in. There's no precise measurement, so you can't overdo it. It's fine. Just bring your pot over, pour some in, and then continue to stir. So now you can see how beautifully thick it's becoming because I've consumed most of my vegetable stock at this point. And so now I'm really just going to be adding my last bit, but you can see there's very little liquid showing because the quinoa has really just absorbed all of it, and it's just becoming creamier and thicker as we go. So I'm going to add my last little bit of vegetable stock into my quinoa, and then I'm going to continue the stirring process just to make sure that all of that beautiful liquid gold has been absorbed. And then once it's in, then we are going to move on to add the rest of our ingredients. So this is what your quinoa should look like once you've added all of the vegetable stock and it's absorbed all of the liquid. You see there's hardly any liquid left in the pan. It's just absorbed all of it, and it's become super flavorful, and now it is ready for us to finish it off. So what we're going to do next is you're going to measure out your heavy cream and you're going to add it to this mixture. Then you're going to measure out your salt and you're going to add it right on top. And then you're going to do the same with your ground black pepper. And then you're going to bring over the beautiful chopped up baby portobellos and you're going to add those in. Really, this adds an incredible depth of flavor to this dish, which is already amazing, but the mushrooms really just bring it over the top. So then just use your spoon to bring it all together. And you see how thick it is because it's really just absorbed. All those 5 cups of vegetable stock have been completely absorbed by the quinoa. So it's become rich and thick and infused with flavor. So you just want to gently fold those mushrooms in by going to the bottom of the pot and then just folding them over, because we do not want to break them down. We just want to incorporate them. And just look at how thick and delicious this is looking already. So really all we're doing is stirring the mushrooms in for about 2 or 3 minutes, no more than that. That's really all they need. And then once they're well incorporated and you've given them 2 or 3 minutes to cook, then it's time to add the beautiful shredded Manchego cheese, which of course I bought in block form and I shredded myself. Now, don't forget that I want you to reserve some on the side so that you can use for sprinkling on top when it's time to serve. So put most of the cheese into the quinoa, and then we are going to just stir it in until it all becomes combined and it just melts right into the delicious quinoa risotto. It is becoming creamier and creamier as we go, and the result is truly divine. The mushrooms, the white wine, the shallots, the garlic, the Manchego cheese, all of it is just spectacular when combined. And really, this is a dish that is going to really impress. You're going to love it, and anyone who's lucky enough to eat it with you is going to be really, really wowed. So look at how creamy it is. This is what it's going to look like once the cheese has melted in and has incorporated with the rest of the ingredients. And this is when you know it is ready. Look at how beautiful and thick and creamy it looks. I can't wait to try it. So at this point, you just want to turn off your stove and just take a moment to smell and admire, because wow, wow, wow. When I tell you, this is some seriously good stuff. Look at how creamy and amazing it is. Hence the name risotto, because it really does resemble a creamy, thick risotto, but we've made it with quinoa instead of rice, and it's something super different and super yummy and flavorful you're really going to enjoy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve myself some, because of course the best part is getting to try this recipe. I love sharing my recipes with you, and of course I love getting to try them myself, because this is some seriously, seriously good stuff. Look at how creamy and amazing, and look at those chunks of mushroom. So pretty. I love the chunks running throughout. I cut them up stems and all, and they're just the perfect combination of textures, and it looks and smells divine. I can't wait to try it. But before I do, I'm gonna give it a little sprinkle of that Manchego cheese that I saved on the side, because it really makes it feel extra special when you sprinkle a little cheese on top. You can even keep a piece of the Manchego in chunk form and then just shred it tableside when you serve this dish, because it really makes it extra special. Look at how great this looks. I cannot wait to try it. It's thick and creamy and delicious, and it's got all of those amazing flavors in it. You're gonna love this. Okay, enough admiring. It's time for me to take a bite, because really all I'm doing is smelling, and it smells divine. I mean, really, it just looks creamy and so tempting. I cannot wait to take a bite. Amazing. Just as delicious as I remember, and just as delicious as the one that I ate out to dinner at a nice restaurant. It's creamy, it's thick, it's so, so good. I need to have another bite. It's perfect. Those mushrooms are amazing. That touch of wine, the cheese, perfect, perfect, perfect. This is so good. I just can't stop. I want to have one more bite, because really I can't stop. It's fantastic. You're going to love it. Look at how creamy and delicious it looks. Not your run-of-the-mill quinoa. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You're going to love it. So how amazing does this dish look? The quinoa is spectacular already, but when you elevate it by cooking it slowly with that delicious vegetable stock, and then of course adding those baby portobellos together with the shallots and the garlic and the cream, and of course the star, that Manchego cheese, is just perfect. It just makes this creamy, amazing side dish that I know you're going to love. It's really amazing with anything you serve it. It's super good. I had a lot of fun making today's recipe. I don't know what it is about slowly stirring the quinoa as if you're making a risotto that's just so special and really elevates this dish. I know you're gonna love it. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And of course, subscribe. And if you're not already following Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on social media, make sure you're following me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest as Sally That Girl in the Kitchen, and on Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok as Sally That Girl FL. See you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.